Germany confiscates Freemasonry assemblies. In Hitler's Germany, the government seized the assemblies of Freemasonry and confiscated all the goods and chattels contained therein, after the government was convinced that the assemblies were closely connected with international Jewry. So after all this, does anyone still doubt that Freemasonry is of Jewish origin? When will the members of Freemasonry wake up from their slumber? When will they come to their senses? Freemasonry and the Christian world. Freemasonry and the Christian world. The harsh words of the common man are rising from the filthy Jews against Jesus alayhi salam and his Virgin Mother. Christendom forgets the evil treatment of the Jews throughout history. The drops of blood of Peter and his brother Andrew that had flowed by the sword of Nero, and the vengeance of the Jewish wife Poppaea, and the bitter battle between the Jews and the followers of the Messiah, all of which the Christian world has forgotten, so that in our own time, fresh blood on the bread of the Jews is always present at Passover. Christians have forgotten the attitude of Freemasonry towards themselves and their religion. The skull of Pope Clement, the condemnation of the papacy, the determination of Freemasonry to destroy the church, to abolish the priesthood, to eradicate Christianity altogether, are all mentioned in its decisions issued in the 1940s of the century at the Brussels Conference. All this the Christian world has forgotten. So that today, the vast majority of presidents, prime ministers, members of parliament, judges, men of science, thinkers, literary, and financial leaders have become members of Freemasonry, sons of the assembly and keepers of the temple. Why all these people should have forgotten all this is a matter that boggles the mind and is unthinkable. Why did it happen? What was the reason? And when did it start? To answer these questions would take more time than our study in this book allows. But we have mentioned all this here in passing, with the intention that, firstly, the Islamic world itself may know about it, and secondly, that its enemies may also know about it. It is thus hoped that they will be able to make their political decisions and relations with others on the basis of this knowledge and awareness. Some societies to study. From the Christian world, we will try to select some of its most prominent societies, in order to reveal what is going on behind them. French society. We will first choose French society. From the few historical extracts that we have done in this book, we have been able to find out how Freemasonry had made plans with the aim of hitting France's glory by fomenting domestic chaos that had destroyed all the joints of splendor, security, and tranquility. Freemasonry had succeeded in doing so. Thus came the French Revolution, which is known to all for the devastation and destruction it caused. At the time, one of the most notable results it left behind was the destruction of social, moral, and religious values in French society, and the birth of new values consisting of destruction, moral depravity, and atheism. All this was wrapped up in the motto of equality, liberty, and fraternity. In addition, there were power struggles and various forms of mutually destructive revolutions. Freemasonry has made the necessary preparations for this revolution by organizing a campaign of thought headed by three of its greatest minds: Montesquieu 1689-1755, Voltaire 1692-1778, and Rousseau 1712-1778. These men were of high rank in the temple of Freemasonry. British intelligence documents knew about the French Revolution before it happened, knew who was behind it, knew the details of the events. But the British government did not dare disclose this to the French government, because it too was under the grip of Freemasonry. Researchers in the matter of Freemasonry have mentioned the great activity of the French Grand Council, and the very prominent influence it has left on society in matters of thought, religion, society, and literature. The reason for this is that the leading figures in politics, thought, and literature were all guardians and servants of the temple. Its most notable influence was the declaration of war against the Catholic world in 1877, when all priests belonging to the Catholic world were asked to renounce the priesthood, free themselves from the dogmas of the faith, and they were forced to do so, one of the most notable consequences was that the country became entirely secularized. The General Council also had considerable activity outside of France, no less than within France. This is due to the very close links between the various assemblies in all parts of the world. British society. Let us now choose England. The historical excerpts we have previously cited confirm that Freemasonry was very active in the second part of the 14th century, and that one of its members succeeded to the seat of Parliament in 1376, and that the first openly held assembly of Freemasonry took place in 1717. Even the name Freemasonry itself had been generated by the brain of a Scotsman named Anderson at a major Freemasonry conference held in London in 1717. At the beginning of the 18th century, the throne of Freemasonry was occupied by King George I, who ruled England from 1714 to 1728. Freemasonry in England continued to be at the peak of its splendor from then until our own time. In describing how this glory, B. Hibbs, in his book entitled The Sacred Book for Lost Nations, p. 283, has written the following: Freemasonry in England has continued to be at the height of its glory. 283 has written as follows: Since the day when the King of England attended a meeting of Freemasonry, there has not been a single one of England's political leaders and leading men who has not been a member of the meeting of Freemasonry which has been moved by the Jews according to their will and lusts. On the same page he wrote, after the Zionist agency called Create Russell Street supervised the head of British intelligence, which was regarded as the most important and most powerful state agency, able to intervene even in matters of the British Crown itself. Jewish influence was not limited to political parties, but was already a total power over all the potential of the British nation. Thus, the Jews in our country have become a class above all others. We strongly agree with Hibbs on that point. Who amongst us does not remember the status of the King of England amongst the leaders of Freemasonry, amongst the Greater Eastern Assembly, and his very prominent activities within the British Isles itself, as well as in various countries of the world, due to his very close connection with the large number of assemblies found there. In this connection, we will only single out from the political world in Britain two figures who have played a major role in the creation of the State of Israel, namely Balfour, who made his infamous promise, and Winston Churchill. These two men have reached the 33rd level in the temple. These two men have devoted their energies to the cause of the Star of David and the Temple of Solomon. As long as we are still in Europe, we must choose an example that is currently playing a very prominent role in the world. Soviet society. Russia we have chosen as an example of the communist world. Earlier we saw how Karl Marx had created the communist theory, with orders from the Illuminati group, in fulfillment of a letter that had been sent by Wright. The letter stated that the Illuminati group had decided to include nihilists and atheists, as well as all the destructive groups in the world, under an international organization known as communism. Thus was the birth of communism as a theory. As for the revolution that took place in Russia under the Tsar, we have seen earlier how General Pike aimed to cause World War to bring down the Tsar and make Russia a stronghold of communism. Indeed, this is what has happened. The communist revolution had taken place. Everyone knows the bloodshed, the destruction of nations, the devastation that has accompanied this revolution. The people who fanned the flames of this revolution included Lenin, Trotsky, and others who were also members of Freemasonry. In fact, these two leaders were also leading figures in the Illuminati society, after its Italian leader Oriolimi. Then day after day passes, and we see international communism giving blood and food to the State of Israel from the first moment of its birth to the present moment. American people, now let us leave Europe. We go to the New World, to the United States of America. Let us examine the pages of the history of Freemasonry. We have said above about Thomas Jefferson, about the Illuminati conference held in New York in 1829, about General Pike, and the activities of Freemasonry in the United States. They need not be repeated in this place. Now let us go to our own times. We can notice that President Jimmy Carter, one of the presidents of the United States, starting from Washington, was a member of Freemasonry. All of them were sons of the Assembly and Temple servants. In a paper entitled Freemasonry and Zionism published by the Paris-based daily Le Monde on July 18, 1978, we read the following. President Carter's government was the greatest hiding place for Jews and Freemasons, in a form unequaled in previous American administrations. American dollar bill image. Whoever looks closely at the American dollar bill will see that the first letter of Zion, the letter Z, is found between the two pillars of Boaz and Jachin. And there can also be seen the symbol of the Illuminati. This means that the hidden symbols are the pyramid, which symbolizes a conspiracy aimed at destroying the Catholic Church as the representative of world Christianity, and establishing a dictatorship ruled by an international government in the form of the United Nations. The eye at the top of the pyramid, which broadcasts light in all directions, represents an intelligence and terrorism agency, such as the Gestapo, founded by Weishaupt under the symbol of brotherhood to guard the secrets of the organization, and to keep people in subjection to its rules by means of terrorism. It played a very important role in the reign of terrorism that followed the French Revolution. The two words at the top of the coat of arms, annuit coeptis, mean that our task conspiracy has succeeded. The words at the bottom of the coat of arms read, Novus Ordo Seclorum, means the new social system, which can interpret its task. It should also be noted that this motto was only recognized by Freemasonry after the merger of Freemasonry organizations with Illuminati organizations at the Filmsbad Conference in 1782.